6 a.m. St. Louis, KMOX FM, Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app. This is the Verizon Extra Innings Show. Verizon, the most reliable 5G in St. Louis.
6:45 for a play-by-play broadcast. The 1-2 pitch with 2 down. Scott swings, he strikes out, and this ballgame has come to an end. All Nationals tonight, they put it away 8-2.
Yeah, that's how it finished off, and John certainly was correct in saying all Nationals. It was all Washington. They put up 3 runs in the first. Didn't know it at the time, but that's all they would end up needing, winning by an 8-2 score. Welcome into the Extra Innings Show. We are presented by Gray Bar. Gray Bar is your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. My name is Matt Pauley, coming your way from Busch Stadium. If you would like to join us, there are multiple ways to get connected. You can call or text 314-436-7900. 314-436-7900 is how you get in here, or you can tweet at me at Matt Pauley on air, MattPauley on air. Or for those of you who are watching us on the video stream, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, you can leave a comment in the chat, and we'll address those as we go along. Look, I'm generally not at a loss for words. I don't have a lot to say about this game. Andre Pallante is a guy who pitches to contact. He pitches to contact today. It didn't go well. You have games like this sometimes when you pitch to contact. I'm already seeing some messages come in, instead of reading in the individual text. I can just deal with the overall theme. A lot of people were frustrated that Pallante was allowed to go as deep into the game as he was. He was kind of doing what he always does, and sometimes it's bad luck. I hate using the word luck because there was hard contact today. So luck's a bad word. He did not. I'm not trying to tell you he pitched well. There was hard contact against him, but the quality of pitches, if this makes sense. Sometimes when you're pitching to contact, there's going to be damage, and sometimes there's not. So I didn't have a problem with him sticking around in that game. He didn't give up runs in the final couple innings that he was in there. I guess the final inning that he was in there, he gave up a run in the 5th, didn't give up a run in the 6th inning. You don't know what's going to happen with Miles Michaelis tomorrow. I have to think maybe that plays into it a little bit as well. You want to have as much of a bullpen available. I'm willing to get upset about stuff. I'm not getting upset about Pallante being left in there, because he's the dictionary definition, and this is going to sound like I'm taking a shot at him. I'm not. I like Andre Pallante a lot. I'm glad he's in the rotation. I think he's somebody who can continue to be in the rotation for a long time for the St. Louis Cardinals. But you have to be accepting of the fact that when you have pitch to contact guys, sometimes it's going to just go like this. That's the cost of having these kind of guys. And now when you've got a rotation filled with guys who can get swing and miss, and you've just got a guy or two that pitches to a lot of contact, it feels a little bit different. But because the Cardinals have so little swing and miss in their rotation, it just kind of adds to the situation that they've got right now. So Pallante had 3 really good games coming into this one today. He didn't do a thing today that makes me feel less confident about him moving forward. I think he can just turn back into who he was before. And I think that you just have to remember, when you have guys who pitch to contact, occasionally it's just going to go badly. And I want to be clear. I'm not sitting here telling you he got, soft contacted to death or it was bad. It was just luck that got it. That's not the point that I'm making. The point that I'm making is the pitch to contact didn't work tonight. And that's where that's kind of where I'm at on him. Offensively, tough night. Another tough night against a left-hander. They got to get better at this. Now, it's going to help when Ivan Herrera is back in the lineup. It's going to help when Nolan Arenado's maybe a little bit more healthy. I know he's back in there today. Didn't look especially good. He went 0 for 4. But Ali said it in his postgame. He said the issues with left-handers are real. And when I talked to him in the pregame interview today, I asked him, what do you do? And he jokingly said, you pray. This is right now, this team is just not hitting lefties. And they haven't been great against lefties all year long, but the severe, the extreme, whatever's going on right now is kind of a new thing. They were above 500 against lefties, I believe, and then they faced those back-to-back lefties against the Cubs here in that 4-game series when they faced Boyd and Imanaga, and they faced Abbott before that against Cincinnati, and those are all really good lefties. So you kind of left that open for, okay, well, those are just really good lefties. What are you going to do against some more pedestrian left-handers? And the guy tonight, Mackenzie Gore, he is not a pedestrian left-hander. He's a dude. He's a heck of a pitcher. But he's a guy that the Cardinals have had some success against. They did not have success against them tonight, and that's where they're at. And you kind of move forward. I know part of my job is to come and do this show every night and have some answers for you. I don't know what the answers are. Palante pitches to contact, and he got hurt tonight doing that. The team's not hitting lefties. They didn't hit lefties again tonight. So that's where that's kind of where we're at. If you want to chime in, you can do so. 314-436-7900. 314-436-7900. That's a call or text. You can also tweet at me at Matt Pauley on air, MattPauley on air. From 573 said tough loss. Palante just didn't have it tonight. Go get the series tomorrow. From Teresa talking about the offense is lacking. Yeah, I think sometimes we get focused in on the pitching, and I'm not trying to make excuses for anybody here. Palante did not pitch well tonight. The numbers are what the numbers are. He gave up 7 runs on 8 hits. Like, that's not there's no scenario where that's a good night. But the fact that the team cannot score runs is an issue as well, and that is something that's going on right now. And you would certainly like it to be a little bit better, and try to have some success here on this final week. This is a really important week for this team with some winnable games. If you can win tomorrow, you take 2 out of 3 from the Nationals. Then the Atlanta Braves come in. They have really been scuffling here recently, and it gets you to the break, and hopefully that's an opportunity to go through a little bit of a reset here, which is something that feels like this team could use from a health standpoint more than anything else. I think a lot of guys who are playing are pretty darn banged up, and that's something that is an issue right now. 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. That's how you call. That's how you text. You can tweet at me at Matt Pauley on air, MattPauley on air. We're starting to get some more video comments in. We'll get to those, and we'll go through a few other things as well. That's all coming up. Don't go anywhere. This is the Extra Innings Show here on KMOX.
At CertaPro Painters, we know that a happy place comes in many colors, like ones that inspire a sense of wonder, or a new flavor that makes life just a little bit sweeter, or one to celebrate those moments that lift you to new heights, at home or at work. We'll make your happy place your own. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
You might know Graybar for cable and connectivity, but there's one more thing you should know us for that can help optimize your project's total value, like our comprehensive electronic solutions for security, AV, wireless, and networking, or our specialized job site services, like material staging and kitting, or maybe our logistics specialists who can help you identify efficiencies and ensure just-in-time delivery. So consider what one more thing you may need to optimize your bottom line and get to know us for that. Yep, Graybar does that.
It's Tom Ackerman. I've been talking about it for years because we've been enjoying it for years, and that is Innsbrook. Innsbrook Resort, Innsbrook-resort.com. What a place. And the home values have increased 105% in the last 5 years, so it's a great return on investment. The new Sonnenhaus houses are available this year. The modern exterior of a treehouse with cozy interior elements of a cottage. Innsbrook-resort.com.
Now, back to the Verizon Extra Innings Show.
We are back at it here on KMOX. Cardinals lose tonight. They fall to the Washington Nationals 8-2 after winning yesterday in the series opener, so an opportunity to take the series. If they can win tomorrow, Miles Michaelis can have a bit of a bounce back. That would be good for the club for a number of reasons, and they're matched up against a guy tomorrow that I feel like they can have some success against in a right-hander in Michael Soroka, who's got a 5.5 ERA. So yeah, if they win tomorrow, they take 2 out of 3, and you never begrudge a series victory. If you want, but they got to take care of business first tonight, and we'll be talking about that around this time coming up tomorrow. If you want to chime in, you can call or text 314-436-7900. 314-436-7900. That's how you call. That's how you text. Tweet at me at Matt Pauley on air, or leave a message on the video chat, and we'll get to some of those coming up in just a while. But let's get our first phone call of the night. I believe it's Wayne who has given us a call. Hey, Wayne, you are on the Extra Innings Show.
Hi, Matt. You've used the term pitch to contact quite a bit tonight regarding our pitcher, and I don't quite understand that strategy and what that actually means, because is that a strategy that is established by the pitcher by his style, or by the coach who tells him to pitch in a certain way? My thought was that he would pitch.
Can I stop you right there? I'm not going to hang up. Sure. We'll have a conversation, but just to answer that part of the question, it is 100% to do with the pitcher's repertoire. Andre Palante does not really have the repertoire that allows him to get a lot of swing and miss. Occasionally, he'll get a lot of swing and miss in a game, and honestly, it's just kind of random and fluky. He is really the only guy in the rotation that has stuff that can really get you swing and miss is Sonny Gray. And in the bullpen, you've got Ryan Helsley, but there's not a lot of pitchers on this staff, Wayne, where they have the type of pitches where they have the ability to strike a bunch of guys out.
I totally understand now. Thank you. That makes it perfectly clear.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. I promise you, if Oliver Marmol could, I'm not talking about like the guys individually, so take like the personal feelings about any of these people out, but if he could like remove the pitching profiles of every pitcher that he has basically right now and replace them with guys who give you swing and miss, he would do it. He would do it. Like that's how you win. And I know there are a group of people out there that disagree with what I just said, that they feel like pitch to contact is still something that really should be done. And you can have success with it. I mean, look at what Andre Palante did his last 3 starts before today. I'm not saying you don't have success with it. I'm saying the more secure path. Andre Palante can go out and be basically working at 100%, have his best stuff, and if guys hit it where other guys aren't, well, those are going to be hits, and that's going to be a bad luck day for him. That's not a description of what happened tonight, but it can happen. It does happen. If you're somebody who strikes a lot of guys out, unless your catcher is just, pass ball after pass ball after pass ball, you're fine. You got strikeouts. So that's what, trust me, I am very sure I can speak for Oliver. Generally, I would not speak for Oliver Marmol. He can speak for himself, but I can speak for him on this one. If he could have more swing and miss on this pitching staff, he absolutely would have more swing and miss on this staff without a doubt, but they don't. And by the way, that's where some of the credit really should go. And it's hard to talk about this, and I realize it's hard to talk about this when this team is in the middle of the run that they're in right now, where they're just not getting a lot of production from starting pitching. 40% of the rotation right now is performing at a below replacement level performance level in Eric Fetty and Miles Michaelis. And then you have a night like tonight with Andre Palante, and Derek Gould tweeted this out about an hour ago, said Cardinal starters have allowed at least 6 runs in 5 of the last 13 games. So I understand that saying what I'm about to say when Cardinals pitching is not performing at a high level, it sounds a little funky. But this area, the fact that the Cardinals have so little swing and miss, and that they have gotten the production that they have from pitching this year, it is a credit to the coaching staff that they have been able to put guys in position and game plan and do everything that you need to do to get even the amount of success that they've had. Again, I realize how funny this sounds because Cardinals pitching is not doing what you want them to do right now, but based off the profile of these players, I would argue that Cardinals pitching has actually overachieved this year. They need to get back to that now. Let's go through some of the messages that have come in. Matt mentions the fact that Plesac and Taylor both struggled tonight in Memphis as the lack of rotation depth is staggering. Yeah, that's why they've done what they've done, and that's why you talk about runway. Miles Mikolas and Eric Fetty were not the profile of players that were being discussed when runway was being talked about, but they are receiving more runway than just about anybody because of the lack of pitching depth. I don't think Eric Fetty is going to make his start on Saturday. I think it's going to be Michael McGreevy. Every day that goes by, every minute that goes by that's not announced, I get a little less confident of it. I don't totally know why. I would assume a decision has been made on what they're going to do on Saturday. I would just rather them tell us as opposed to us talking about it every single day. I don't think it's fruitful for us to sit here and be talking on this show and talking on every other show every single day. How is Eric Fetty going to make his next start? Let's just find out. So I would probably very respectfully disagree with some of the communication strategy that's going on right now. I would just rather them say what's going to go on. But it's their choice to do what they want. And at some point, they're going to tell us what's happening on Saturday. Justine, excuse me. Justine always comes in here. I almost always say Justin every time. There's an E at the end of the name, so I apologize. Justine there says, which starting pitcher on the Cardinals would you get rid of? So I think the Justine, the way I'm reading your message is that if Michael McGreevy is going to come up and take a spot in the rotation, whose spot is he taking? Right now, I don't think Eric Fetty can make his next start. Let's talk tomorrow after Miles Mikolas goes, because if Mikolas really struggles again tomorrow, I think that's the point where you really start talking about starting to ramp Steven Matz back up into a starter. Now, there's a cost that goes along with that. If you make the decision you're taking Matz out of the bullpen, there's a double cost. Cost number one, you're losing Matz out of the bullpen. He has not been as good out of the bullpen recently as he was for much of the year, but he gave him a scoreless inning yesterday. He's still a guy you can trust down there. So you lose that. That's one part of it. That's maybe the lesser part of it because he's got a pretty big ERA out of the bullpen since June 1st. The other side of it is the cost of if Matz probably throws 45 pitches in his next outing if he was in there as a starter. So that's going to be kind of a bullpen game. Maybe you can get him to 60, 65 the next game after that. Then you get him to 80. So it's going to be 3 starts probably to get him in the neighborhood of 80 in a best case scenario, and 4 starts to get him up 90 past. So you're sacrificing some of your bullpen availability because you're going to have to use guys for that. But if Miles Mikolas really struggles tomorrow, I don't know how he makes his next start. And I think the only answer at that point, assuming that McGreevy's in there for Fetty, at that point I think the only answer is Matz and McGreevy into the bullpen. Quinn Matthews, I don't think he's quite ready. They want more of a track record at AAA and more success at AAA. It's been kind of up and down for him. I know Taylor struggled tonight for Memphis, but his season has been good. He's not going to be any worse than what you've gotten out of Mikolas or Fetty, but that's not the standard that you want. You want somebody who can go out and give you a chance to win. So that's kind of my answer on that one. Let's go to Nick, who has sent in a message saying, I've been saying this for a while. The Cardinals do not have the starting pitching to contend. I know they said they're not going to spend in free agency, but they kind of have to for pitching. Nick, I addressed this a little bit, I think, yesterday or 2 days ago when you said the thing about not spending in free agency. They're going to spend in free agency again. This is not like a organizational shift that the offseason that they just had is going to be the offseason that they have forever and ever. This wasn't the year they were going to spend in free agency. I don't know what it's going to look like next year, but when this team is back producing talent that can fill most of the roster, they are going to spend, and they're going to spend on impact players. That's the problem. They haven't been spending on impact players. Sonny Gray, they spent on an impact player, but other guys that they've spent on have not been the impact players. Go sign a 1 or a 2 starter. Go sign a power hitting outfielder or a power hitting first baseman. Don't go sign a 4th starter. Don't go sign a 5th outfielder that you got to spend too much money on, or a guy that maybe you give a starting outfield spot but really isn't a starting outfielder. Like, that's what I'm talking about. you have to produce the back half of the roster from your own system, and then you're not spending money on that because it's cost controlled, and then you can go spend money on others. Now, I do think the Cardinals, I guess it comes down to our definition of contend. I do think the Cardinals can continue to contend for a playoff spot with a version of their current pitching. It may not include Miles Mikolas and Eric Fetty if those guys can't find something, but I do think that they can continue to contend for a playoff spot. Nick sends in a follow-up, says the question is, will they actually pony up? I think they will. I have heard from many people in the organization that they have and look, you don't have to believe this, but I've heard from many people in the organization that there is absolutely the intention to get back to spending money on free agents. And just listening to some comments that John Mozeliak has made recently, I think there's an understanding from ownership that the industry has changed a little bit, and the amount of money you have to spend and the amount of years that you have to give and all that sort of stuff. There's an acceptance of that's where we're at right now, and they are going to be right there. Henry sends in a message, says the 2021 deadline type year got an arm. Don't overpay. Get a few arms to see if you can't get into the playoffs. As Lester and Quintana were pivotal team. Yeah, if they can find like a Jose Quintana type. Quintana was huge. Like he ended up being your playoff opener that year against. He pitched game 1 of the playoffs. So a guy like that, if they are available, and you can get them and not overspend for them, I feel like that's kind of the ceiling of what they may get. Let's see. So text message from the 256 says, with pitchers who pitch to contact, the manager needs to pay close attention to see if they have their best stuff on any given night. If they don't have it, get them out. We addressed this earlier. You may have just joined in, so I would encourage you to go back and listen to the archive version. You can watch it on any of the social media channels. But Palante, it wasn't that he was good tonight, but it was he got hit. He got hit. But he could have thrown the exact same game that he threw tonight, and if there would have been some luck involved, it would have looked completely different. I guess that's the point that I'm trying to make. This is one where, he did not have his best stuff. I understand that. I'm not trying. That's why I'm having a hard time going through this, because it's not me trying to tell you that, Palante was great and he just got bad luck to death. No, that's not what happened. Palante was not great tonight, but what he did tonight would have been good enough on some nights. It wasn't good enough tonight. Is that a reason to get him out? Like, again, we're arguing about getting him out of this game. They're down 3-0 going in the bottom of the first inning, and they scored 2 runs all game. I was actually, something that kind of startled's the wrong word, but something that I took note of. You know what I love about this team? What I absolutely love about this team? It's the professional, relentless at-bats they always take. What is this team always good for? A little rally in the 9th inning in any game that they're losing, getting 1 or 2 on. Sometimes those guys don't score. Sometimes the first 2 get on, and then all of a sudden the next thing you know, the next 3 guys have been struck out and the game's over. But there's always some sort of activity. Tonight it wasn't that. Tonight it was 1, 2, 3 there in the 9th inning. They didn't have that tonight. And that hasn't I'd have to go back and look, and this would take some time to research, but that's not something that this team has done very often. This team is a team that more often than not has a little bit of rally's the wrong word, because rally insinuates runs being scored. It's not always runs being scored, but they tend to get some activity there at the end of games, and it just didn't happen tonight for them. It just did not happen. 8-2, the final score. The Extra Innings Show is being presented by Gray Barn. Gray Barn is your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. What's on Deck is presented by Chesterfield Fence and Deck. We've talked a lot about what's on deck because Miles Mikolas is going to pitch tomorrow. 4-6, 5.26 ERA. Michael Soroka goes for the Nationals, 3-6, 5.40 ERA. I was about to wrap up the show, but Walt comes in here, and I'm glad Walt asked this question. Walt says, Matt, what is your take on Ricky Horton's comment about Abrams signaling pitches while on second base in first inning before the 3-run homer? I agreed with his take. Yeah, so I was actually in the radio booth when that happened. I spent most of the game sitting in the press box area here at Busch Stadium, which is a level above the radio booth. But I'll pop into the radio booth after the pregame show wraps up. And I was sitting there when Ricky saw it, and I thought it was interesting. And I went back and looked later on at the video of it, and yeah, he all of a sudden really starts jumping around. And then the next pitch is hit for a 3-run home run. Now, let's be also very clear about something. That pitch that Palante threw that went for a 3-run home run was one of, if not his worst pitch of the night. That was a terrible pitch, with all due respect to Andre Palante. That was a non-competitive pitch. I tend to agree with Ricky. When you don't see somebody jumping around, and then all of a sudden they do that. And I watched him, and I watched other runners on the bases throughout the game after that happened, and it never really happened again. That was a signal. That happens. And I think it happens more in baseball than we realize. That one was really overt. But to be this is where guys who played the game versus guys like me who watch the game are different. Because that doesn't... I don't notice that. I don't see that just watching the game. I was so glad that I was in the radio booth when that happened, and kind of I watched Ricky watch it, if that makes sense. And it was cool for me. I love it when I get to see the game through people's eyes who have played the game or managed the, like, it's just it's a fun experience for me to be able to have. And yeah, that was something that I think Ricky got it right. I think that was a signal. I don't know if they needed the signal because the pitch wasn't very good, but it was the signal. Steve comes in and says, stealing pitches from second all the time. Yeah, that is, I think it happens more often than not. The question is, can you be a little subdued about it? Can you be sneaky about it? I think probably every team in baseball has some version of that going on. And it's tougher now with PitchCom, but if you're standing back there at second base and if somebody's tipping pitches, if you can see a grip, if you can see something, and you're able to use that, who knows? There was talk today in the press box about, a lot of guys wear the PitchCom. It's not just the pitcher and the catcher. There are some other guys who wear PitchCom. Could it be loud enough where somebody is on the bases and they hear something? I don't know. But I think the stealing pitches from second is something that does happen more often than maybe we'd like to admit. So really, that's part of the wonderful things about having Ricky on the broadcast, that he was able to catch that, and I thought it was really interesting. And as soon as I reopened my computer, the first thing I went back and looked at the video of him on the bases, and he did the jumping around there at second. He did not do at other times that I could find, and he did on that pitch. So I feel like I'm not accusing, but I am leaving open the door for a distinct possibility. How about that? Is that a good diplomatic way of saying it? All right, that is it for the show tonight. Thank you so much for being tuned in. Good show. Good conversations about a good number of things. I'm using the word good a lot on a night where the Cardinals don't win, but maybe I'm just trying to force positivity to all of us. We will talk to you again tomorrow for more Cardinals baseball right here on KMOX.
They are